Good day everyone, and good day ma'am. By the way, I am Giancarlo Virapon, and on behalf of my group, we are going to discuss establishing validity and reliability of a test. This topic is divided into 4 subtopics. These are the following. First, validity of test. Second, validity coefficient. Third, reliability of a test. And the last one is reliability coefficient. The assigned topic of mine is validity of test. Before going to the definition, I will give you a simple example of that. For instance, if a teacher wants to measure the student's learning, the teacher will use assessment. What does the teacher want to measure? The student's learning. And what should the teacher use to measure the student's learning? By the use of assessment. Therefore, assessment is become tool to check for learning. It is a valid tool. And in line with our example, I have here some definition for us to really know what is validity of a test really is. So according to De Guzman 2015, validity is a term derived from Latin word validus, meaning strong. Highlight the word validus, means how strong is the relationship, the connection of the tool being used, which is the assessment in measuring the learning of the student. Is there is connection or relationship? Yes, and it should be strong. Moreover, this refers to the degree to which a test actually measures what it is supposed to measure, according to ASAAD 2014. Is our tool being used to measure what it is supposed to measure? Yes, it has been measured exactly. And take note po that the process of establishing validity of a test is done after the test result. This also refers to the appropriateness, correctness, meaningfulness, and usefulness of the specific decisions a teacher makes based on the test result. That's according to De Guzman 2007. Is the tool being used appropriate to measure what it is supposed to measure? Yes, it is. So I therefore conclude that is valid. At this point, we are going to know how validity is determined. And take note that validity is always determined by professional judgment. Yes, in education, only the teacher in the field can judge the validity of the test, not the doctor, nor any other profession. These are the following major sources that of evidence can be used to establish validity, according to De Guzman 2007. First, content-related evidence. Second one, criterion-related evidence. And the last one is construct-related evidence. First, we have content-related evidence of validity. It refers to the content and format of the instrument. In other words, in content validity, we are looking or judging the inner part of the test and also in the appropriateness and accuracy of the instrument being used and what the teachers is supposed to measure. Moreover, it also pertains to the extent to which the test covers the entire domain of content. Meaning to say, if the entire domain covers a unit with 4 topics, then the test should contain items from each topic. For instance, if our grade 4 pupil was able to correctly answer 30 out of 40 items in a test about matter, so that's 80%. So we can conclude that our pupil knows 80% of the content area. In that sense, is the content-related evidence valid or not? Yes, it is valid. How appropriate is the content? Is the content of the test item appropriate to implement at a particular grade level? If yes, that is valid. And how comprehensive? Is the pupil able to easily understand the questions? Is it understandable? If yes, that is valid. And the last one, how adequate does the sample of items or questions represent the content to be assessed? Is the content of the question related to or based on what you are supposed to measure? If there is a strong connection, correlation, relationship, then that is valid. There are two types of criterion-related evidence according to De Guzman and Adamos 2015. Concurrent validity and predictive validity. First, we have concurrent validity. A concurrent validity provides an estimate of a student's current performance. For example, a school has developed a new IQ test, and then the results from this test are statistically correlated to the results from a standard IQ test. If the statistical analysis reveals a strong correlation between these two sets of scores, then there is a high criterion validity. In line with this, it is important to mention that data from the two measures are obtained at about the same time. And the second one, we have predictive validity. It pertains to the power or usefulness of test scores to predict future performance of our students. For instance, we have entrance exam as our predictor and first year GPA as our criterion. If there is a significantly high correlation between examination scores and first year grade point average or our GPA assessed a year later, then there is a predictive validity. And the last one, we have construct-related evidence of validity. It refers to the nature of the psychological construct or characteristic being measured by the test. In other words, construct validity is used to check the quality of the instrument, in which it measures the unobservable traits of our pupils, like their intelligence, reading comprehension, honesty, attitude, and their learning style. How will thus a measure of the construct explain differences in their performance on a certain task? It has been said that construct validity is used to check the quality of the tool or instrument being used to measure an observable trait of the learner. For example, as a teacher, if we're going to measure the learning of our students from the topic being discussed, we can use an objective type of test where it is believed that there is only one correct answer. In that sense, it is easy for us to assess their learning, and their result will show if they really learned from our discussion. At this moment, I am now going to discuss to you the factors that affect the validity of a test. There are some factors that greatly affect the validity of test according to ASAAD 2004. These include the following. First, inappropriateness of the test items. Measuring the understanding, thinking skills, and other complex types of achievement with test forms that are appropriate only for measuring factual knowledge will invalidate the results. And number 2, we have instruction of the test items. Directions that are not clearly stated to how the students respond to the items will tend to lessen the validity of the test items. And number 3, we have reading, vocabulary, and sentence structure. So, vocabulary and sentence structure that do not match the level of the students will result in test of measuring comprehension or intelligence rather than what it intends to measure will affect the validity of a test. And number 4, we have level of difficulty of the test item. When the test items are too easy or too difficult, they cannot discriminate or we cannot discriminate between the bright and poor student. Thus, it will lower the validity of the test. And number 5, we have poorly constructed test items. Test items which unintentionally provide clause to the answers or to the answer will tend to measure the student's alertness in detecting the clause and the important aspects of students' performance that the test is intended to measure will be affected. And number 6, we have length of the test items. A test should be of sufficient number of items to measure what is supposed to measure. If a test is too short to provide a representative sample of the performance that is to be measured, validity will suffer accordingly. And number 7, we have arrangement of the test items. Test items should be arranged in an increasing difficulty. Ibig sabihin, placing difficult items early in the test may cause mental blocks and it may take up too much time for the students, and hence students are prevented from teaching items they could easily answer. Therefore, improper arrangement may also affect validity by having a detrimental effect on student motivation. And number 8, we have pattern of the answer. Remember, a systematic pattern of correct answers will enable students to guess answers, and this will lower again the validity of test. And number 9, we have ambiguity. Ibig sabihin, ambiguous statements in the test items contribute to misinterpretation and confusion. And ambiguity sometimes confuses the bright students more than the poor students, causing the items to discriminate in a negative direction. And now, we have test validity enhances. The following are the suggestions for enhancing the validity of classroom assessments according to Reganet 2010. First, prepare a table of specifications or our TOS. Number 2, construct appropriate test items. 3, formulate directions that are brief, clear, and concise. 4, consider the reading vocabulary of the examinees. 5, make the sentence structure of your test items simple. 6, never have an identifiable pattern of your answer. 7, arrange the test items from easy to difficult. 8, provide adequate time for student to complete the assessment. 9, use different methods to assess the same thing. And number 10, use the test only for intended purposes.